Most people are talking about how these two teams are the very strongest teams in this league, and they're battling it out today. It is MVP versus StarTale. I'm Wolf, as always, joined by Kaldor, and this is the GSTL.
We have a really good match coming up for you guys today. Yesterday was already quite exciting. We had a 4-3 with Zubu up against LGIM. LGIM taking it once again. But today we are heading into the upper ranks of the league. We have MVP up against StarTale.
This is going to be such an exciting match. You can see now here the StarTale team getting ready, including Life.
Yep, Life, he was talking on Twitter just recently how his Terran vs. Zerg is back to his original strength. A little bit too late to give a victory in his GSL Codes group, but he seems to be really confident and might be coming out today. Our opening players, the starting players for the match, are going to be Avenge versus DRG though.
Yeah, very, very interesting starting match. Avenge has really been getting some traction. He's getting to be a better and better player all the time. Great Brawls versus Terran play we saw from him just the other day in Code A. And as far as DRG goes, man, he is a really strong player. He's not known as the final boss for nothing.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the final boss comes out first today, and I think this is actually a really good choice because DRG in the past, in the GSTL at least, has been struggling a little bit when coming out as the last player. His team was relying, of course, a lot on him being one of the best players on the lineup in the roster. But still, I feel it's a good choice to bring him out first. MVP from the start shows that there's a no-nonsense strategy going on for them. They want this win.
Absolutely. DRG coming out first, such a smart idea for the reasons you said. Especially the nerve issue they seem to have coming out last for his team. In the past, he got his nickname the final boss because he came out last fearlessly, was able to win every time, but suddenly he hit some sort of wall, you know, around the time his team couldn't make it to the finals in Busan. He started to lose a little bit when he came out last, and now he's just not as useful as an anchor, but StarTale's a tough opponent for this team.
Yeah. A StarTale team spoiled me already a little bit. I already know who the second player is going to be, and I won't spoiler you, so don't worry about that, but I can promise you already this much. StarTale, they also want to win this match, and if Avenge loses here, then DRG will be up against a very tough opponent.
Yeah, no matter what, man, even if you didn't tell me that, I would have already known that's going to be the case. A very difficult team to face for MVP.
Oh, yeah.
MVP and StarTale, I think, two of the teams that make some of the best decisions when it comes to snipers and builders of maps. They really know how to play the players on the right maps.
It's going to be a great day. And guys, make sure that if you want to talk to fellow StarCraft fans, you can always jump on IRC. You can Google Web IRC and then go to #GSL on QuakeNet to talk with fellow StarCraft fans. Here, of course, we have a quick overview of our last result. This is LGIM versus Zubu that just happened yesterday, and LGIM, they took the win.
Yep, they were able to take the win for the second time in a row. First taking 2 wins for the team, and Squirtle was able to close things out against Symbol. An epic match on Whirlwind, Ultralisk, Void Rays, every unit in the arsenal, you name it, except Vipers.
That was a really, really great game that we had to close the series out yesterday. Also make sure that you jump on Reddit. There is a thread underneath talking about the GSTL, so if you want to talk with a few other Redditors about the match today, check that one out. We would never tell you to upload a thread, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Having a quick look here at the rankings, you can see that MVP and StarTale, they're all the way at the top. Axiom Acer has one additional match. Whoever is going to win this today will take the first spot.
Exactly, and this is such a pivotal moment in this match. I really like that we get to see Aqualon Waste for our first match, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's talk about the race distribution here. You can see both teams having pretty even numbers of players, and also the race distribution is not really lopsided for either one of these teams. The Protoss players making up a lot for both teams, as well as the Zergs.
And you know, talking a little bit about the Protoss players, there's one player that we've been talking about a bit in Code A so far. It's Killer, Swagger, a player that we have seen in the past struggling a little bit, but right now he is back with a vengeance. I mean, this guy in the second round of Code A just barely lost to Leenock with 1-2. And he was quite... I talked to him about the series a little bit earlier, and he was a little bit disappointed by it. He said that he made too many mistakes in game number 2, and that was such an epic game. The strategy that he used was so strong. It was so zealot heavy, and Leenock just barely was able to clinch on victory.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really close, intense situation for him. We're going to take a little bit of a review here of StarTale's performance so far in the league. You can see Sound here crushing through Tassadar to take that first win. And, you know, this was a good day for StarTale. They are looking very, very strong.
Yeah, Sound with an all-kill. That was really impressive. He played so well. After that, he qualified for Code A. So that was also quite something. So the guy is really on a roll these days. And you can see that the entire StarTale bench is behind him. There we have him in the backstage area.
Yeah.
A little bit camera shy today.
A little bit, for sure. But he is such a top-notch player.
He's such a cutie pie.
I would love to see him come out today.
Yeah, there's so many players on this bench that I want to see perform in the Team League today. But, well, there are only 4 of them that will get a chance.
Yep, only 4 each, potentially. There's the whole bench. Life himself, of course, playing in his match.
Yeah, he played against the Prime team, and he is just such a great player. In Code S, he barely lost, but in the GSTL, he is performing really well for his team.
Yeah. And it was, like you said, in Code S, barely a loss. Coming off of that loss against his former teammate Parting, a little bit rough for him, but he's definitely not out yet, and I think we'll see him today for sure.
That was such an intense game on Icarus that we've seen live against Björn. If you haven't seen this game yet, jump to GOMTV.net and check it out. The matches were really good. And live, denying the tech lab of his opponent 3-4 times, always cancelling stim. This was such an intense game.
Yeah, very much so. And Life giving a wink there.
Awesome moment. The camera guy really on top of his game today.
Yeah, I just love to see Life give his occasional moments of non-shyness on the camera.
Today's going to be good, Wolf. I'm really looking forward to these games. And of course, we also have a lot of strong MVP players. They have been doing so well this season already.
Yeah, like this guy coming out here.
And
this
you know,
is Super, of course, formerly known as Vampire.
Yeah, and their first team match, they actually lost it to Axiom Acer. They were really disappointed, and they were like, okay, well, we have to step it up now. We have to give it our all, and they did. And Super here with the all-kill against FX Open.
Yep. Getting a crazy all-killer. Not a lot of people expecting that. Super able to take out even Lenok here, just win after win. And MVP is a team that has historically done really well in the GSTL, just never really able to finish things off.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
That was insanely awesome.
His spin kick, that was really good. Like that. He was so happy after this, and I mean, there's a good reason for that. You can see him in the backstage area here. I want him out to get, you know, I want to see him play just because I want to have another celebration like this.
Yeah. Don't forget about players like Noble S, Keen, Tails. Massive lineup here. Sniper, as you can see there, just recently fell out of Code A.
That in the back is definitely Swagger. That's definitely killer.
Yeah, I can tell by his hand gesture there.
I was talking to them a bit earlier. I really want to play soccer with these guys. The Korean teams kind of, well, pretty often play soccer against each other. Jan is said to be a decent player. He watches a lot of soccer on his personal stream as well between the games. And Killer kind of promised me that the next time they're going to invite me. Apparently, Keen is a pretty good midfielder. I want to test that out. I want to play with those guys.
I would love to see that, man. Well, here is the StarTale roster they have got today. It goes all the way to the third bar. It almost needs another page. They have so many good players. Their team is so high in depth, but also high in skill.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, so many good players. We have Curious, Live, Golden, the Zergs here, Zero as well. And then, of course, the Terrans alone with Sparta, Hack, Bomber, and Sound. This is such an amazing lineup, and I really want to see them perform well today. I hope that we go the entire distance, that we go all the way up to a 7th game.
Yeah, I think we may be able to see something like that with the caliber of both of these teams that we have. Life just really keeping that smile on his face constantly. There's Curious, don't forget about him.
Yeah.
He's like, please forget about me, actually. I'm not interested in being on the camera.
Today's gonna be good. And people are already speculating who the second player might be for StarTale, and of course everyone is like, well, it's gonna be live. Guys, it's not gonna be live.
We'll see.
At least not if Avenge loses against DRG. Then we will see a completely different matchup. It's gonna be epic.
MVP's roster here looking extremely strong. Just a few less players than StarTale overall, but the caliber is just as high. Starting player Dongre Gu listed there as well as Keen. You've got Sniper. You've got Tails, who in itself is a sniper. You've got Noble S, Dream, Vampire, Monster.
And you know, Tails is so important for them in the Team League. As you said, he in itself is a bit of a sniper. He should actually swap IDs with the Zerg player here, because this guy has always builds that counteract whatever his opponents does. So this is really amazing. The Swagger with the swag. His team still makes fun of him, by the way. Every single time he comes in, we talk a little bit, and as soon as I mention his nickname, the entire team just starts laughing. He's like, no man, it's a good nickname, and even the coach turned around and started laughing, was like, what? No, it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I think that's a universal truth. There's no opinions to this. He's actually just wrong. Sangho, when he talks about his ID, is actually just, in fact, wrong.
He should go back to Sangho. That's the safest path that he could take.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no risk involved there. That's just 100% true.
Well, the teams are getting ready here at the GSTL, guys. I hope that you are ready for this match. It's gonna be great. Avenge is such a strong player. He's doing so well in Code A. He's up in the 3rd round now. He took down Fantasy of all people. He defeated Hydra, and now he's up against Flash. So him in the opening match against DRG, that should be a good one. Even though Avenge is not such a high-profile player as DRG himself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And here come the two teams out going into the benches. We're gonna have the coaches come out as well. Before they go into the benches, they're going to get themselves hyped up, do a little bit of a chant, their hands in the middle.
Yeah, and especially, you know, we have Hack looking really sharp today. He actually got a haircut here.
Yeah, he does look good.
As Avenge as well, Bomber in the middle, captain for his team. Golden, of course, also with them.
Yes, don't forget about him either. There's so many good players on both these teams.
Yeah, you know, with the StarTale team, every time we have this GSTL intro, they look so badass. Like, they are this I Am Legion style. There are so many of them. There are like 1,000 StarTale players, and you know if you mess with these guys, you're in trouble.
They have like the perfect timing on that arm fold as well on the intro. I love that. This has been such a good season so far, but there's no doubt in my mind these are the two top teams so far as far as the results go and how well they've been looking, and I'm really excited to watch them clash here.
You know, this could be our final, actually. This is one of those matches that has the potential to come back after the playoffs and be the final game of the GSTL this season.
Could not agree more.
There's the Chipmunk Terran,
yeah, Chipmunk Terran hiding his Acorn Widow Mines all over the map. And Coach Shui looking pretty confident, pretty calm. I'd say that both the teams' coaches are looking relatively calm right now. Not a lot of stress. I think they're more so, pumped up and excited about this.
I mean, both teams have such a great lineup. We talked about it in length. There you have two of the best players on the StarTale roster. On the other hand, the MVP players, they proved in the past that it's not only about the names with their team, but it's just the team spirit in general, and their preparations for the Team League is always amazing. They always think very much about who they put out on which map, and there's a lot of strategy going into these games.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy we have this time from the MVP team. And they have so many good players. I mean, this could be one of the best matches that we had in the entire season.
You're absolutely right, and that's what I'm expecting to see. So, of course, before we go into our first match, I want to remind everybody, if they're so inclined, if they go and look at a website called Reddit and see a post that is regarding this match, they can go in there, make a comment, discuss, look at other comments, make judgments on the other comments in the thread itself. With all sorts of
some time.
Yeah, take some time to think about it. There's some directional arrows. I'm not really familiar with the website. Well, there's some directional arrows that you can click on, and it makes an influence. I'm not sure, but check that out.
I'm not quite sure how that works. It's like, I've seen it, but I'm not really all that active there. So if you figured out what those arrows are for, please let me know. Well, right now here we have our first player for Team StarTale. This is Avenge, doing so well in Code A these days. He's in the 3rd round, up against Flash after defeating Hydra and Fantasy. Taking a deep breath here, up against a strong player today, the opening match at the GSTL. This guy has a lot of potential. Good in the past, but he's getting stronger and stronger each and every day.
Yep, and he's dyed his hair. He's going bright orange. He's on fire, and his hair really shows that. That's the type of thing where suddenly you're on a roll, you dye your hair orange, and you just let everybody know, I'm going through a change right now, and it's good.
And of course, for Team MVP, we have the final boss. This time he's coming out first, is DRG.
Yep. As you can see, the way he gets his nickname, the final boss, is because his best position is 11 and 3 wins at last. When he comes out 4th, or 5th, just coming out last in general. 11 and 3, that's 78.6%. That's why he's known as the final boss.
He's currently out of the competition. He lost in the 2nd round of Code A after dropping down from Code S against Supernova without taking a single map. So for now, he does not have to participate in the individual league anymore and can focus entirely on the GSTL.
Yeah. And there's Golden there on the edge. I'm going to look. Players are in the lobby, they're ready, they're bantering with each other already.
Golden always a player that you can send out later on in the league too. We had him as a starting player for StarTale in the past, but we are getting serious right now. Wolf Ackland Waste, our first map, Zerg versus Protoss.
This is going to be pretty sick. We've got the former Xenex player on a roll right now. There's a reason why he's been chosen first. He is doing so well in the Code A, and this is a player that you want to bring out, and he's up against the final boss.
And Killer on Waste is a really good map also for this matchup. We had a lot of Zerg versus Protoss games yesterday. I'm pretty sure that we will get our fair share of Terrans with those two teams having a lot of good Terran players. But starting off, our Protoss and a Zerg once again. And this time on a Killer on Waste, we could see so many different strategies. It's such an amazing map. I love a Killer on Waste. It's so awesome to observe games here. So many different strategies, different game styles that you can play in a map like this. We are jumping into the game now, guys. We are getting ready for our opening match. It is MVP versus StarTale, two of the best teams that we have in the GSTL. Dongragu is first for his team, one of the strongest players on the roster. Can he win against Avenge? And not really a newcomer, but a newer player that is just trying to make his way into Code S in the third round, now up against Flash. But for now, he has to deal with the Zerg player at the GSTL 2013 Season 1. StarTale up against Team MVP. The starting player for Team StarTale spawns to the top left of the map. In red, we have the Protoss, called
StarTale Avenge.
Looks likely to go Gateway expand with that pylon placement.
Currently in the third round of Code A, up against Flash after he defeated Fantasy and Hydra. He's up against a player who's not in Code A anymore, at least not for this season. At the bottom right of the map, we have the starting player for Team MVP. Give it up for
MVP Dongragu.
Otherwise known as DRG.
Yep, after dropping down to Code A, after losing in Code S, he was up against Noblesse in the second round of Code A and lost without taking a single map, can therefore completely focus on the team league here.
Yep. And as mentioned before, there's the Gateway going down. We have Avenge doing one of our newer style openings in Heart of the Swarm, going into, it's a new style that's old, and he's actually going to be facing a hatchery first, so this is going to be quite decent for DRG to get away with this.
Yeah, hatch first opening also because we don't have a probe there. He had the overlords on the map, he sees that there's no probe, and he just looks at the map and he's like, you know what, if you don't move out with the probe and try to block my hatch, I will just take a hatch first. That's completely fine with me. Apparently we have a bit of an issue here, most likely going to be a bit of a hotkey problem.
Yeah, most likely will be the case. Remember, in the Team League warnings actually affect your score now, so...
Oh yeah, that's really important here. Avenge takes it easy, takes the break that he has to take a sip here. Dongragu seems to be quite happy about what happened. I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I think he thinks something is funny. He has a hotkey problem, as expected. There's a warning.
Yeah, it's always weird. I mean, we've talked about this in the past, but I personally don't really understand how that can happen if you're the first player for your team. You have so much time to set everything up, so I really don't know how that happens. I mean, the first thing that you do when you go into the booth, you set up your gear and then you play like a game, at least the build order, and look if everything works.
Yeah, he just said everything's fixed now, and he's just sorry.
Look at Avenge like it was. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, well, whatever, just bring it on.
Exactly. He started his double gas back in game, and DRG now, of course, just going to continue on with his build as well. He doesn't yet know about the Gateway.
And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the Gateway, or let's say the hatch first, is of course a reaction to what happened in the game. Dongragu sees there's no probe out there, so he's like, well, if you don't probe block me, then I will just take my hatch first. Fine with me, giving me a bit of an edge.
Yeah. He's also trying to get ahead in not drone scouting. So he's going to find out a little bit later that there's no Nexus, and that's not something you can really assume ever, especially not on a map like this.
Yeah, against the Protoss player, you don't really drone scout all that often. It depends a little bit on what you expect and a lot on the mind games. Against Terran, you usually want to have a drone on the map because it's really dangerous to get too close with the Overlord. If the Terran player shoots down the Overlord with an early Marine, then you are in trouble. But against the pros, you always know that when the Overlord arrives in the main base, there is just nothing that can take it down.
Yeah, and also against a Pross, you're very unlikely to face any sort of forward gateways or anything like that, like you see a Terran player do with his barracks. You see the Mothership Core come out first here, before anything else. Starts Warp Gate research, and we'll start most likely a Stalker next.
So we have now the Gateway expand, and I want to just briefly touch upon the history of this build. The problem with Gateway expands in Rings of Liberty was that they were very dangerous to execute because a Zerg player could just completely attack you the entire time and crush you down. Therefore the Forge expand developed. But now in the heart of the Swarm, we have the Mothership Core. This is also the reason why we see it so early in the game, because with the Mothership Core, as an addition to the Gateway, you can use the Photon Overcharge and defend so much better against early aggression of a Zerg player.
Yeah, definitely true. And he in fact starts a Stargate and then a Sentry, so he's not going to be putting on any direct aggression early on, but this build is very risky, but if he can get that Mothership Core in position and get this wall up at his natural, he should be able to defend against any sort of link pressure.
This is now getting really interesting, because this is an opening that we have seen used in Code A already. I think Trap used the strategy on the very same map, and we've seen it also in other leagues like Pro League. This is a build that you can use to get your air tech up and go into an air proto style if you want to. You don't necessarily have to play it this way. No force fields here, just tries to take down those lurklings, or at least just work at the hit points.
Yeah, a little bit surprising he didn't force field him out there, but I guess he's okay with the possibility of more aggression coming.
Exactly, that's the one reason why he also doesn't follow those Zerglings into the main base with the Sentry. He always knows it could be a bait, it could be just an attempt to lure the Sentry away from the wall, and then a second wave of Zergling comes in. He didn't scout yet, so he doesn't really know what's going on here. So Avenge is playing this smart. He realizes that he has a choice here, either block those Zerglings out and deny the scout, but then he won't be ready with a second force field to stop an attack if there is.
Yeah, it could be a very fast speedling all-in coming forward, so he doesn't want to chance it. And then, you know, in this case, it ended up being the wrong choice, but it's the safer choice no matter what. So yeah, it works out for him here. Now, DRG, during all of this, his speed is finishing up. He is starting to add additional gases, and he's had this third base up for a pretty long time now. He's starting to really make use of that saturation. So we're either going to see a heavy 2-base timing, or very soon the third Nexus will be dropped for Avenge.
The way that he plays it right now, he can definitely go into this air style, and we could see, of course, him going into a Fleet Beacon, a few Tempests, zone out the Zerg player. But there are a couple of counters to this, and Donragur already goes into the tech, goes straight into lair here. At roughly 7 minutes. He needs to be a little bit careful with those Phoenixes trying to take down these drones, but still, there are especially Hydra timings that are very dangerous for Avenge now.
Avenge very careful with his micro and his sentries, not losing any sentries, not wasting any force fields at home. Phoenix is continuing to pick up any main transferring drone going to the third base, and he hasn't done a critical amount of damage with this, but he certainly has been very annoying, and this is actually going to supply block DRG for a very brief moment until his next few Overlords finish.
Avenge really needs to put on the pressure here, because he is playing this quite greedy. He added those gateways a little bit late, he doesn't have a single cannon at the wall, so he's completely relying on his sentries. And is now force fielding, or actually walling completely off. He's moving out with those sentries. And this is going to get dangerous.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do that 2-base pressure I was talking about before. He's getting a forward pylon set up, and the Phoenixes just continue to kill Overlords, which means that Larva and resources have to be spent by DRG, but the pylon is found.
Great scout here. He finds the pylon, but the Phoenixes should be able to use a couple of lifts. Doesn't even need them. He has the sentries already close enough to save the pylon.
Yep. Uses one force, so that's all he needs. Does not waste any of his Phoenix energy. Really like his choice here. Mothership Core at 200 energy, can use 2 time warps or a recall and a time warp if he wants to use it like that.
So much aggression against the third base. This is exactly what we've seen Protoss players do against Zerg players that expand against the Gateway expand. Here we go, moving in. The Hydra Den is just now ready. The Roach is on the way, but can he hold this base?
I really like the way he's using his Phoenixes to catch reinforcements, just picking them off one at a time while the sentries doing work on the drones.
But there's not a lot of that does damage for Avenge. He needs another round of Warbins. Those sentries are getting low in hit points, and more Roaches are streaming in.
Yeah, he needs a warping of Stalkers, you know, maybe to deal with these Roaches. The Zealots, though, working well with the force fields here.
Really good force fields by Avenge so far, but we have more and more Roaches moving in. Donragur is in a position where he seems to be very confident against this type of composition of Avenge.
Yeah, the Spore Crawler doing a little bit of damage to that Mothership Core. He does survive. He's very reluctant to warp in Stalkers here, warping in only Zealots right now, which leaves him a lot of resources to transition, and that's exactly exactly what he does back at home. He's probably going to recall here.
He's trying to warp in additional units, but with only 3 gateways, he doesn't have enough units, and there are 11 roaches that will pop out in just a few seconds. You can really see that Dongragu is able to push this back, but Avenge is already transitioning. As he said, Wolf, he's going straight into the robotics bay.
Yeah, he saved a lot of resources since he didn't really commit to adding any extra gateways, and this is a little bit of a weird lift. He could definitely kill that queen, but it looks like he's worried about making all this stuff back at home, like the sentries is warping right now. The queen does survive.
Yeah, he didn't realize that those phoenixes were not in range. Was able to save the mothership core that was attacked by one of the spore crawlers. Dongragu, on the other hand, is now getting a lot of roaches streaming across the map with the 16 that he has, going straight into the speed for them. He wants to put on pressure now. He wants to find out what's going on here.
Avenge seeming in a panic, starts 2 robotic support bases. It's a big mistake. That's a lot of resources lost. And I mean, there's no reason why you would want to have 2. Definitely a mistake here, and that's a lot of gas lost. So if he realizes it in a few seconds, maybe he can save it, but he's very preoccupied with other things right now, like the huge roach attack he's walking across the map.
The roach is pushing in, but Dongragu backing off already. He doesn't want to commit here. He's a bit afraid of running into force fields and being force fielded out. Avenge is still trying to do damage, and he's building a Colossus while the robotics, the second one, the second robotic space, is still being warped in. Now he has 2 of them.
Yep. He could, you know, get warp prism speed at the same time as range or something like that, but I just don't find that to be useful this time in the game.
You know, the thing is, when he started to build the first one, that was in the middle of the fight at the bottom right, and this is why he probably... But he just slipped his mind.
Yeah, absolutely so. You know, he wants to hit as fast as possible, then his brain goes into overdrive mode where he's thinking about the normal timing sport, and he starts the second one. Starts now the Twilight Council, and his third base here is a lot later than he would have liked, for sure. The Ling's denying him just a little bit.
We are going into the additional attack for DRG, adding the Spire and the Infestation Pit. He can go for a couple of different compositions here. He can go either into Swarm Host, can take right up to Hive and add Vipers instead, using a few Corruptors in addition to the Hydra list that he's already getting. So a lot of possible transitions here for DRG, and we are going to find out in just a few seconds which path he goes down. Will we see the Hive tech, or is he going into the upgrades for the Locusts?
That's what we're going to find out in just a few moments here. I'm feeling like we're going to see just a small amount of Corruptors and then go into that Hive tech. Just enough Corruptors to where he feels defensible against some sort of Colossus push off of 3 bases. Nothing just yet, you know, he's just waiting until he knows what's coming, then he's going to make it.
Here is the Hive tech, so he wants to add a few Vipers to his composition. We have the speed for the Hydralisks, and as you already said, he doesn't really want to commit fully just yet. He's waiting a little bit, just trying to test the waters, trying to find out what's going on. This is why we also have another Overseer being built by him, so he really wants to see what's coming. Has a good amount of scouting going in the game so far. But the one advantage that Avenge really is now crushing out is his upgrades. He's already going into +2/+2, chrono boosting the forges. Doing a really good job with that.
Yeah, I really like how Avenge also waits to kill his rocks at the third base. He's not just prematurely doing that. He's waiting until there's an opportunity, because if he catches units underneath those rocks and they're trying to do their DPS against force fields and the rocks collapse on top of them, that's going to be a disaster. So he's just trying to make sure he can use those rocks to the best to his ability. Sends out 2 hallucinated Phoenix Scouts. They're going to find exactly what they want on the right side of the map. There's a base there. So he has to make a choice, though. Does he attack the base, or does he just sit back and accept the fact that he's going to be a little bit behind the bases for a short period of time?
And once Avenge finds out what exactly is going on in DRG's main base, he will most likely add the Templar Archive. If you're up against the Zerg player that adds Vipers to his composition, you want to have high Templars out so that you can feedback them. That's one of the most important things. Avenge might try to do a little bit damage before that, but it's going to be really difficult for him to pull that off. He has to heavily rely on his upgrade advantage.
Yeah, I think what he can do here is with this 2-2, go over and snipe the hatchery and leave. That's what he can hope to do, especially since he has the Mothership Core at full energy. He could slow the Roaches and the Hydras down before he fights the Vipers, right before the Vipers and the Corruptors get out.
Yeah, I don't really know if he is fast enough, though. The Corruptors are already halfway done, and we have so many Roaches and Hydralisks already. So this is a position where it's going to be difficult for Avenge to make this work. Especially when those Corruptors get a good position against the Colossi.
Yeah, you know, I was a little bit surprised he went out to clear up the creep instead of just going right for that base. Now he's kind of missed his timing window. He's just going to take his own 4th instead. We have Locusts on the way.
So smart. I love it. Hallucinated Colossi. He's moving in, trying to tank a bit of damage with them. Really nice job by Avenge. He's going for it, and DRG moving in. He doesn't know what to target first.
Yeah, the Colossi are doing a ton of damage here. And, you know, he's got the detection, but still, Time Warp's going down. The force fields are excellent.
He He had the detection there. He targets down the 2 Colossi, the real ones, but now picking off the float ones. He can't do anything against it. Where are those additional corruptions? I think he's still in cooldown, but a lot of the ground units are already gone.
Yeah, the Colossi may be gone, but the Corruptors are now useless, and the Spinecrawlers are not going to be long for this world. More and more Stalkers warping in here. Don't forget, though, he has an insane economy right now. 13 Hydras on the way, and he's transitioning into those Locusts.
DRG moving those drones back. Great job picking off those 2 real Colossi, picking them out from the crowd, and now he's losing one of his bases. But can he get the army up that he needs to push this back? Avenge has done a good job with this, but the problem for the Protoss player really is that given time, DRG's composition will be the superior one.
Absolutely, with not only the Swarm Host coming out, but he has the Greater Spire on the way. He's got to use the army he has and the upgrades he has to their full effect before that moment. And so he sees with his Observer the base is being remade over there. He already has a forward pylon ready. He can commit here and go for another attack. He has to be careful against the Corruptors, but the ground army is not a big problem for him. He's going for it. So smart, 5 Stalkers at that Warping pylon.
There's a lot of Stalkers, and Stalkers, 44 of them. I mean, with Blink and all those upgrades, they can do so much damage. It's going to be difficult for DRG to master this army. I mean, given time, he will have the better composition, but I don't think that Avenge will wait.
Yeah, he's definitely not waiting. Clears up a lot of this creep. It looks like he may go for the natural. He still has that Warping pylon and an additional one coming even closer. He may blink in here.
And he can. Greater Spire is not done just yet. A lot of Hydralisks though. They can do a lot of damage. Here come those Colossi. They are being taken out by the Corruptors once again. Can they do the damage that they need to dish out before they go?
Well, you know, they're doing a decent amount, and there's so many Stalkers left, and with good Blink Micro, DRG is pushed back here. He's down in supply now.
51 Stalkers, and he blinks like a boss. That's not enough for DRG. He's moving in with everything that he has, but it's just not enough. He's stopping in supply. He's going down, and Avenge, he did it. He took the game.
GG! An insane execution there with all the scouting information that Avenge had. He was able to see everything, saw the base, killed it, kept taking good engagement after good engagement, kept using Hallucinated Phoenixes to know exactly where his opponent's tech was at all times.
51 Stalkers at the end with good upgrades and Blink, and there was nothing to stop the Blink from happening. We didn't have Vipers for the Blinding Cloud. We did not have Infestors for the Fungals. There was just nothing that DRG could do. The Swarm Hosts were too late, and his army, after the fight to the top right, simply too small to stop his opponent.
Yeah, this was a really, really well-executed attack. The first one and the second one as well. Avenge is on fire, and I'm not just talking about his hair color anymore. He's definitely one of the top players we've got coming out these past few weeks.
Exactly. We talked earlier about how he does so well in Code A, and that he's such a strong player these days, and he proved it again. I mean, DRG is a strong opponent to face, and Avenge just takes it and... I mean, there's just nothing, no worry in the world for the guy. He just sits in the booth, he plays his game, plays his style, and you can see how StarTale is always able to bring new players to shine and to perform really well in the booth.
Yeah, as you can see, his StarTale team still talking about what might possibly happen next with the next player that MVP chooses, and we're going to find out who that's going to be very, very soon. So the final boss, in this case, is the first boss, has already fallen.
Yep. Dongregoo is already out of the run, and now Avenge is looking at another opponent. He's strong against Lurk these days. He did very well against Fantasy in Code A in the second round. So do you send out a Terran player against him? Do you try to go into a Protoss mirror match? There were a lot of really good players on the MVP bench. There's always Sniper, you can rely on Keen. There is Tails, who can snipe an opponent. There's a lot of potential on that bench, and that makes the choice to go for one player, a specific player, now so much harder.
I would love to see, personally, Dream, MVP Dream coming out here. He's shown some of the best drop play with the new Medivacs against Protoss players. Pick a 2-player map where he knows he can use that aggression really, really well. That's what I'd like to see, but I could see them also pulling out Tails for Protoss versus Protoss, have a really cool build order in mind for Avenge here, because Avenge hasn't really been playing PvP that much in the individual leagues, or really for a long time.
For MVP, this is really annoying. Just think about how they approach this game. Dongregoo now out of Code A. Well, he's not in Code B, but he is out of the run for Code S in this season. So he completely focuses on the team league. He's one of the strongest players on the team. So the team says, yeah, well, you know what? We want to win this game. Against StarTale, it's not going to be easy, so we'll bring you out first this time instead of third or fourth. And he really thought that he can at least take a game, if not more. At least one.
Yeah.
And now Avenge comes in, the newcomer takes him out, and the MVP coach is probably looking at this like, well, that did not go as planned.
Yeah, it was definitely not how they had things planned. But you know, they've definitely got to have a backup plan just in case. And I'm really curious to see who that's going to be, because they might be looking at Avenge and going, well, I can't really find the weaknesses in this player. I've seen him in Code A. He's a very aggressive player. Maybe we send out a defensive Terran and then hit those timings with the Medivacs. Maybe we play Protoss versus Protoss, because that could be a little bit tricky for him.
And here we go. It's Keen.
Keen. I like this choice.
The commander himself is moving into the booth.
Avenge is okay with that.
Yeah. Avenge looks at it as like, Terran, I eat Terrans for breakfast, my friend.
He played excellent Protoss versus Terran in his Code A.
Yeah, he did. Against Fantasy, it was such a great series, and Avenge did so well. But Keen is a strong opponent to face. He's really, really strong. And of course, here with the GSL ranking 17, it's going to be interesting to see what exactly he has in mind against Avenge. He can't take him lightly. Avenge has already proven himself.
He does not want to go light on the defense with the aggression that Avenge puts out.
I mean, even with a double Robo Bay showing few nerves here in game number 1, Avenge takes down DRG. But before we head into the next game, into Avenge versus Keen, we have a 5-minute break, guys, here at the GSTL. Then we'll be back with a match between MVP and StarTale.
Oh, never change, always be the same.